For me, in terms of skills, listening skills are really important. Meetings can get heated, being able to listen to all sides, strong mediation skills if, things go that way. But really being able to listen and listen hard. For me, working with a Spanish-speaking population from Ecuador, Mexico, I'm from Central America, we have different ways of communicating, we say things a different way, and so being really attentive to what's not being said and what they're saying is things that I've learned to do and I'm, continue to learn to do with our members. Being really organized, being able to planning is so important. And we think to-do lists are planning, but not really. Being able to really look ahead at the next month, 6 months, the next year, and being really good at teamwork, communication, being different ways of communicating. Sometimes email doesn't work. Phone, you have to. We sit in meetings a lot to discuss things and make decisions. So yeah, being a good team player. In terms of my day-to-day, I, as director of organizing and programs, I do some of my own organizing, but I also do a lot of management. So my days are spent in my typical day could be, at 9 o'clock I'm at a coalition meeting, at 11 I'm back at the office, maybe I'm at a staff meeting, or I'm doing a check-in with an organizer, or maybe I'm doing 2 check-ins with two different staff people. And there's phone calls to do to bring people into a meeting or to check in on things that were pending, and there might be an evening meeting with a group that I'm facilitating or I'm leading. It really varies. Right now we're also going through a strategic planning process, so I'm part of the planning process of that. So dealing with consultants, thinking ahead to the call that you have to put together for a coalition the next week or on Friday. Drafting the agenda, or just a lot of communication with allies and partners and with staff.
So Vocal New York we're really, really big on base building and grassroots organizing, right? So our organizers are folks who have had experience being on the ground talking to folks. They usually come from experiences doing canvassing or electoral politics. Someone who's unafraid about going to people, knocking on doors, talking to folks, and getting folks engaged and involved in the issues and getting involved in our campaign work. Some today was very chaotic, but the day-to-day sort of like an organizer's days, it's definitely a lot of meetings, being on the phone a lot, talking to your members, talking to different folks you're working in the coalition. This work is definitely mostly all collaborative work for the most part. Building a coalition, realizing who your allies are. We have a saying, no permanent friends, no permanent enemies. So even talking to your enemies, and just really, it's mostly just being forward thinking. If you want to talk to me about something that's happening in August, that's like talking next year, right? For me, it's we're really. At Vocal, we're really intense and we work a lot very quickly and rapidly, so it requires a lot of flexibility, right? And also a lot of self-care as well, right? So self-care is very important because this work can burn you out if you're not careful, right? Because you're putting your passion into it, you're putting your energy into it, you're putting your time into it. It's pretty much yourself into the work. I know even fairly recently I was evaluating my role and purpose in Vocal New York because it was all this Black Lives Matter stuff going on, and I'm like, so what am I doing? Where do I fit in this? What should I be doing, right? So sometimes it becomes challenging sometimes to even make sure to figure out, evaluating and reevaluating whether or not you're on the right trajectory and whether or not this is the work that you should be doing or these are the issues that you should be working on, this is the campaign that you should be driving, and then figuring out how to include the things that you are passionate about in your campaign work and in that stuff. So it requires a lot of reflection and also, staying focused and also staying driven, staying passionate, and staying engaged into the politics. Politics change as much as people do. So really staying abreast and, thinking and being quick on your feet.
You should always just be an active listener. Really have a lot of flexibility. Be clear in your communication. Integrity. Do what you say you're going to do. Be where you say you're going to be. I couldn't agree more with the organizational component. Just being really mindful of everybody's viewpoint and experience. And then, I think that the day-to-day from, and then, just relating. I mean, so much of the member engagement stuff is one-on-ones, and just really just talking to folks. If you can talk to folks, and you can sort of just meet people where they are, and then sort of, I don't know, harnessing their anger, their emotion, their sort of how do you move them, how do you help folks to move forward. There's a lot of meetings, there's a lot of member engagement, a lot of just sort of kind of planning distinct campaign steps and helping the organizers think through those campaign steps.
The ability to both connect with people but also to push people. People, like I said, are very used to the way that the world is, and you have to be able to really challenge that idea and polarize them against the systems that are creating the conditions that they live in, and also to kind of be able to put yourself in the back seat and make sure that what you're doing is what the members believe in and find to be important, but also making sure that the membership have the information that you have and are able to make a decision within the political context that you're thinking in and that your organization exists within. So it's a really, to me, the ability to balance kind of listening to people and meeting people where they're at, also pushing people to kind of take a step past where they're comfortable and what they're used to, and really making sure that you're both listening to your membership, but also making sure that the members have the context that they need to make a good decision. I think it's critical to really think about, what kind of work you enjoy and if it is something that you get energy from, because it's not a matter of your politics. There are lots of people with wonderful, wonderful politics who are not organizers and don't get that kind of energy from the work. So if you are tired and think the idea of putting an action together is exhausting, then you're not going to be able to make it. It is hard work and it is tiring, but you have to be able to also be the kind of person who gets energy out of it.
I think this question of getting energy and feeling fulfilled by the work is incredibly important. I would say some sort of skills or characteristics that maybe haven't been mentioned. You actually have to like people. It sounds trite, but if you do not like people, if you do not believe in the humanity of people you're working with, then you can't be a good organizer. And there are too many leaders or people who proclaim themselves to be leaders in this world who don't actually have any faith or trust in people. You got to have some curiosity, because every single person, the worst thing you can do is bringing all of your assumptions about the last person you talked to into the next one. You actually have to have a sort of genuine curiosity. Lastly, I would say you have to have deep patience. You have to understand that the fights that we're in are not a fight of today. They're not a fight of tomorrow. They're not a fight of this year. They may not even be a fight of our lifetimes. This is the moral arc of the universe is long. It doesn't just bend, to steal a line from my father. We actually have to bend it towards justice. We have to grasp onto the end of it and pull, and we've got to know that it's going to take a lot of time. The day-to-day work of organizing is being out there, whatever your community is, pounding pavement, talking to people, trying to have the next conversation and the next conversation and the next conversation, going to meetings, whether I've organized in residential, going around to buildings in New York at odd hours of the day, or at the airport, spending lots of times both walking the airport, finding people, driving to people's homes, the persistence of just talking to the next person. And I'll be perfectly honest, part of the reason that I moved from organizing into more of this education side is I ran out of some of the energy to want to have that next conversation.
When you're looking for a job, do make sure that the job meets your values. So it's not so much about, oh, well, they have an opening, it sounds great, this is how much you're paying, but look at their mission statement. See if they, do what they say they're doing with the mission statement, and it doesn't reflect your values. That's very helpful. That is what I find that's been very important for me at Welfare Rights Initiative, and help me be successful at what I'm doing. Also, connecting to the issue. Also, being able to connect to the issue no matter what the issue is, because, for example, we have some folks who say, well, I'm not in public assistance, I don't know how to really go out there and really put my passion in it. But what we tell the students is, well, maybe you are on financial aid. That's a form of, a public assistance, or you've needed Medicaid. So being able to somehow, some way, connect yourself to the issue that you're representing is very important.
Do you have to be it to do it? And I think that's the answer for that is for many, my answers to those questions are, it depends. It's not yes or no, because we're insiders means, right? I don't even exactly know what that means, because we have so many identities we're wearing at the same time. Well, I'm a woman, I'm a mother, so I am inside if I'm working with women who are mothers and women. But I may not be of the same color, I may not live in the same community. So I think it's that connection, not just to the issue, but to the people. What do we have in common, as well as, no, I don't feel your pain, or I have a different kind of pain, or I need to know, tell me what it's like to be. Again, it's a complicated issue, but it does come up a lot, that the people welcome you if you have those values that people talked about, the skills, want to give it a chance, want to give it a shot. And then, sometimes you move on. I just have to say, I started years ago and came out of school, wanted to be a community organizer. I got a job on the Lower East Side, and they said, well, there's a space in the ground for a new Gouverneur Hospital, and it's been sitting here for 10 years. And we need somebody to help us get that hospital built. And I said, oh, God, healthcare. I don't want to work in healthcare. I've never been sick. I don't want to touch patients. And I found that that's my life's work, and I'm still working on organizing for universal health care. So it's certainly open. Please be open to all kinds of possibilities in your own work.
If you are, I've never been a laundry worker, I've organized many. If you are going in as, I know better, I'm going to tell these people, I'm going to teach these people, without actually having any sort of respect for the community, for their history, for their leadership, for their structures and so forth, then no, you shouldn't be an outsider. And that's part of, so many people have given, let's call it the outsider, the bad name by walking in and doing that. You can walk in and be, I just got told they don't want to use the word ally anymore. You can walk in and be the term co-conspirator and be a co-conspirator is what I was corrected this weekend. But you can be an outsider and be a co-conspirator. You shouldn't be an outsider going in and saying, I'm going to tell all you dumb people what to do and help save you.
You are putting your money where your mouth is, so to speak. People respect the work. I find, if you're doing the work with integrity, as you said, with some kind of passion, and you're respecting where they're coming from, then I think, then it's a good beginning anyway, for sure.
So if you are out there organizing a community in which you don't readily identify with, right, how do you then develop a core set of leaders to kind of like help inform your work, right? Help inform your organizing, help inform the campaigns, right? So you can make sure that the issues and that the campaign that you are, working on directly impacts and positively has a positive impact. At Vocal New York, we take our members and we elevate them to board members, right? We work to develop their leadership. They help drive our campaign in our manual or in our handbook, right? We have to ensure that our membership is over 50% of our board, right? So that we can make sure that there's a system of accountability, checks and balances to make sure that some of the folks who are not readily identified with the community are able to now, are balanced by, folks that we organize are now in leadership and that are kind of like help shape and direct and govern the work that we do and how we do it and how we, talk about those things.
Trust your instincts, and also believe in the ripple effect. You will see in this type of work the ripple effect, like you said before. It's slow, but you do see the effects that you do and the good work that you put in.
I'm also going to use this shameless plug time, I believe, this week.
Yes.
There's a ton of great work going on all over the city, and there's plenty of ways to tap into it. Keep coming to things like this. Stuff at the New Labor Forum does breakfasts at the Murphy Institute about a ton of issues where lots of groups come together. We have internship programs all over the place. The New York City AFL-CIO is building a young workers caucus that's on Facebook at New York City Young Workers, and doing things like labor history tours that somebody sitting here may be running on Saturday. It's starting at the Triangle Fire at 11. There's places and things to tie into. You cannot be alone, and I think it was brought up earlier. You have to involve people in your life in this work, and find people you like doing it. If I would say if you don't like the people you work with, you're going to have to find a new place to do it, because you can't sustain your work in an organization. Generally speaking, it's funny how many of my friends work somehow connected in the movement. You find people who share your passion, you find people who share your core beliefs, and you make a community who wants to change the world, and we can all do that together.
If you're interested in doing this work, then you should try it. And we're always looking for people to come in and be organizers, and really, we want to be providing training and that opportunity for people in the field. And I don't see a lot of resumes that have a ton of community organizer experience on it. And when I started, I didn't have that experience. It was something that I think you learn this work by doing it. So I would really encourage people to go out and see what jobs are available. I'm currently looking for a bilingual organizer to do housing and education organizing in the Bronx. So if you're interested, my contact information, I think people have it on their sheet, but definitely let me know. And we always are looking for new people and have constantly changing opportunities. So.
And NICE, we also have lots of summer opportunities for community organizing volunteers, especially if you're bilingual. And we'll probably be having a job opening for a community organizer in a couple of months as well.
So ditto to everything that everyone has said. I think also what I would want to add is don't be afraid of power, right? I think one of the things that blocked me, and one of the things I struggled with, was I was afraid of power, because powerful men were bad, right? So don't be afraid of power. That you all have the potential to be very powerful, and that once you tap into what drives you, what makes you angry, where your passions are, you then can organize people and organize money to really impact real change.
Have energy, have vigor, have verve. As you kind of get out there and see what opportunities are available, I would also urge you to sort of, when you're reading a job description, really understanding the difference between organizing and advocacy, and just having that inform your decision. Advocates do it for other people. Organizers, we're building a movement around a particular issue, and that is a leader, a member-driven effort. Go intern for a union. The time I spent at BJ was really, really invaluable. I learned a tremendous amount from the leaders and the members that I was out in the field with. It was an invaluable process.
The Silberman School of Social Work at Hunter College, for those of you who think you might want to pursue a master's degree. I have Carolyn Dunn, a graduate student here, Jessica Garcia, a former grad. It's one way to get some education with some internships and come out with a licensed degree that gives you some latitude. But we are very special at Silberman. We have a concentration in community organizing, planning, and development, and we find a lot of people who think of social work don't think of the social change, the macro end of our profession. Think of it as micro. Very important to do one-on-one, helping folks, counseling, therapy even, but we're the people here who don't want to do it one at a time.